pleasure to have you part of our podcast. The second time we've sat down and discussed, and quite a lot has changed over the past sort of 2 or 3 years since then. So just to kick us off, do you mind sort of taking us back to the sort of Toyota days and essentially your career today? I think that'd be a great starting point.
Yeah, so much for having me today and being able a little bit to explain from where I'm coming on the hydrogen journey and also what's still coming. Hydrogen, I think it's more than 20 years ago now. So actually hydrogen is my life, I would say. I mean, even I'm heating my house with hydrogen. No, I started in Toyota. I mean, after graduation, I went to Toyota because, of course, it's one of the I think manufacturers winning a lot in research and innovation. And also, I mean, they were quite well known for their environmental image. We had the priors as well. And then, of course, I knew that they were developing on hydrogen. And so when I joined Toyota, I was immediately involved in the powertrain area. Of course, that's where, I mean, I find it always very interesting to work in the powertrain area. And so I had a chance also to work then on the hydrogen car and the fuel cell car. I spent a couple of years in Japan. This is always important to learn also the Japanese culture and to understand clearly the company culture. And I think this is I believe always very important to understand when you select a company is what is the culture of the company and do you fit with that culture? I think, and for me, it was clear that Toyota culture was really close to my way of thinking as well in life and so on, the values in life. And so I joined Toyota, and then I had a chance to develop the hydrogen car, the first hydrogen car, the Mirai. I worked 7 years on that car, and we tested the car all over the world, in the US and Europe, and the Alps area, high altitude, in cold winter in the Nordics, and the very south of Spain, and in the very hot summers and so on, because this is exactly what we needed to do. We needed to make sure that the car was fine in all kind of climate conditions. So this was really big fun and also a big challenge because you have to imagine that. I mean, I worked on that in the early 2000s, and so hydrogen refueling station, well, not exist. So hydrogen production, well, at that time it was only Linde. So you can imagine how to get the supply to the Nordics, how to get the supply of the hydrogen to the south. So I mean, there was full of challenges. I mean, but it was so fun. I mean, really, it was a great period. And as a young engineer, I mean, if this is your dream, it's coming true. You help the climate. You're working with top-notch engineers, the latest technology. This is really amazing. But after we launched then the car, I mean, you can have a car, but you also need hydrogen refueling stations, And so that's where I also was involved in, I was leading actually the establishment or the building of the first hydrogen refueling station in Belgium more than 10 years ago. And also that was a challenge because, yes, I mean, my president gave me a very important task. He said, I need a hydrogen refueling station. But it was not so easy to build this in Brussels because there was no regulation at that time. I remember when I went first to the authorities and they asked me, hydrogen, what is it? So I had to start first explaining what it was hydrogen. And then, how could they give me a permit to do a refueling? Because they didn't have any rules or regulations. And I remember at that time I had a good friend at the German government. And actually what we did was we translated the German legislation. And we made it into Dutch and then tried to get the approval through such a regulation. And then it worked. I mean, I got a temporary permit then. We built it and then, it was a big opening. And so this was a fantastic journey actually to be able to build the first hydrogen car in the world and also to build the first hydrogen refueling station in Belgium. Where we learned so many things. And then it was time for me to move on because, of course, what I said always, Toyota alone cannot change the world, cannot create a hydrogen economy. This has to come from a higher, more powerful entity. And this was, of course, the European Commission. So I moved to the European Commission. There was a chance for me to apply for the top job in the Commission, actually to head the hydrogen and fuel cell program of the European Union, the research program, which is, by the way, the biggest research program in the world. Together with the US, I think we are now very similar, but I think it was quite a big program. And so in there, I mean, I could really push the entire hydrogen file to be on the top of the agendas of the policymakers. Because in 2016, when I joined the commission, I can tell you it was not there at all. So I mean, gradually we pushed up the agenda, and I think I'm so happy where we are today, because I mean, we had first some commissioners starting to look at hydrogen. Finally, we got even the president looking at hydrogen, and then a lot of hydrogen policies were rolled out. I mean, we see a lot of them coming out now. So these 7 years of hard work at the commission, where we launched, I mean, I created the hydrogen valleys idea.
Yeah.
So I mean, I remember we had the first European hydrogen valley in the North Netherlands, in Groningen. I know that I had to fight quite hard to get the hydrogen valleys idea agreed inside the commission, but also with the industry. But that's the challenge. I mean, but now, I mean, look where we are today. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, we have now 60 hydrogen valleys, I think, in Europe now being built. And also worldwide, we are more than 100 already, or close to 100. So this is a gigantic success, and you can make the difference. This is the point. You have the chance to make the difference. Then also, I mean, I created the concept of the European Hydrogen Bank as well, which is now also came out very successfully with more than 130 applications for the first auction. So I'm super happy to see that. I mean, I started let's say the new hydrogen joint undertaking, where I could double the budget for research for hydrogen after many negotiations with parliament, with policymakers, and so on, showing the importance and so on in order to achieve the climate targets. So you can really, I mean, make a difference, but you have to work hard and you need to have the passion for it. This is very important. And then last year was actually my term was finished in the commission. And then I had the choices, what do you do next? And do you stay in policy making? But I had the highest job possible on hydrogen at the European Commission. So it means that I probably had to go to some other direction, or you basically try to go back to the private side. And I decided to go back to the private side, but to basically to start my own company. Why is that? Is because I really wanted to show to the world that hydrogen economy can be a reality. Because during my 7 years term at the commission, I saw that a lot of PowerPoints, really, you don't want to know how many I saw, but thousands, but very little shovels in the ground. And so that is what I wanted to change. I mean, even if you read the latest IEA report, I mean, there are 1,400 projects worldwide on hydrogen, and only 3.6% gets FID. This was a problem. And this is what I wanted to show, that it can be done. And that's why I built around myself really an A team, really the best of the best. I mean, one of the top financial guys, worked in New York, in Wall Street, worked 20 years in the city in London, really has seen everything in the financial world. Working with the top engineers who came actually from the LNG business, because actually hydrogen and ammonia in our case, because we will use this as a carrier, is very close to the LNG world, rather than, I would say, the renewables world, which is mainly solar and wind. It's quite far away. Yes, you need it as an input, but actually the skills that you need is quite different. So it's really leans very close to LNG. And then also I found a great builder in the northern part from Lithuania, who had experience of putting pipelines onshore, offshore. And this is also what you need if you want to bring big volumes of hydrogen to the companies. And then finally, I mean, you had the great engineers as well necessary to do it. So altogether, I built this team, and I'm sure now that we're going to show to the world how to do it. We're going to build the biggest project in the world. It will be a 10.8 gigawatt of electrolysis, which needs almost like 14 gigawatt of electricity input. Because if you also need some electricity for the air separation unit, for your synthesis project process. So It's a huge project, but it's so fun, and
Yeah.
I see a lot of people love it because it's quite innovative. So we use the latest technologies.
Mhm.
We use also a very innovative business model that so far nobody has seen. And so when we go to explain it to off-takers, they love it. They love
Yeah.
it. But also financial institutions, they love it. So um, I think this project will change the world because our aim is actually to make a global standard
Yeah. Of
of
course.
how to do it. Because we should not forget, if we want to reach the 2050 goals of 1.5 degrees maximum increase of temperature, average temperature, we need to build 6,000 gigawatt of electrolyzers worldwide.
Yeah.
We have 25 years to do it. Today, the biggest electrolyzer in Europe is 20 megawatt. So the challenge that we have in front of us for humanity is huge.
Yeah.
So
We need to
what
get
we
to
want to
that.
do, so we're going to make a standard design, and we want to cooperate with many developers, other companies that actually can use this standard design in order to speed up the process, the building process, and to really have, again, an impact in the world, and to make sure that as a society we can reach the 1.5 degrees in 2050. That's our mission of my new company that I have set up together with my colleagues.
Yeah, which is an absolutely amazing mission and an amazing goal. And naturally, wish you all the best with such a large project. But it sort of goes into the next question I had. You spoke with so much passion then about the early days of being proud of building the first electric car. What drives you? What is there anything significant you feel that pushed you into the hydrogen sector or sort of clean technology?
Yeah. Because I mean, people who knows me a little bit, let's say, better. I mean,
Mhm.
they know that I had a quite, let's say, I had at some point in my life when I was young, an accident where almost I lost my life,
Mhm.
and so I always felt like I got a second chance in my life.
Mhm.
And I remember that when I woke up for the first time after the accident, I saw a beautiful tree.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it made such a huge impact to me that I kind of decided at that moment that I really wanted to work for the climate and to make sure that we do not hurt the climate. And so this
Mhm.
became, at that point in time, I was 16 years old. That became a kind of mission of my life, you know.
Yeah.
And since then I have been just working like hell to passionate to realize what I wanted to deliver. And I was very lucky also to find a wife and son, actually, at the end, that yeah, support these goals, that are really aligned. And I remember my wife said, "Look, as long as you work for the climate, it's okay. You travel a lot and you're away along a lot from home. The moment you don't do this anymore, you need to stay more home."
Yeah.
So, but just to give you, it's very important because these things you cannot do alone. You need to
No.
have family 100% supporting um, your mission,
Yeah.
and they need to be a part of it, and they need to also feel that things are changing, that you get results, and they can be also, yeah, proud on it. And so I think this is very important. If you select a mission in your life, to make sure that the people with whom you spend most of the time of your life is also aligned with that mission.
Of course. And it's true, right? Behind any good man, there's an even better lady, right? More,
Yes.
so it really does help. Moving more on to, you mentioned various different achievements, the first car, the concept of the hydrogen bank. Is there an achievement that sticks out in terms of fighting climate change, would you say?
No, I think for me, I mean, there were many achievements, but I believe that the European Hydrogen Bank was for me uh, an amazing achievement,
Yeah.
because I mean, if it talks then in terms of financial means, that was the biggest, let's say, leverage I could achieve to
Yeah.
pull money into the hydrogen world. because of course there's a lot of money, but where is the money going,
Yeah.
and you always have to come up with good ideas and good reasons why that money has to go to the hydrogen world and not to any other world, because there's a lot of competition. I mean, there is AI, there's defense, there's always lack of money, in the world. There's always lack of money. So it's all about being convincing people and showing that you have the biggest impact if they would put the money in that area. And so, of course, I had the new joint undertaking, which finally I could make it a 1.2 billion euro money, pot of money and investment, which was, of course, very welcome. But then at the end, when I had the European Hydrogen Bank, it's even much more money that we are talking about. And so I think that was for me really, really nice to be able to realize that and to convince basically the highest levels at the commission, in this case the president, actually, to come along on this idea and to support it and be behind it. And so no, you need to really be passionate, and also always make sure that your idea that you have, that it's really well built up, that you have the right elements into your proposal, and that you convincingly can bring it over to the next person and engage that person. Make it also inspire the person, that also that person is willing to go for your ideas. And I would say that's definitely for me the number one. Definitely.
Yeah. But it's not a small one, to say the least. It's obviously an amazing initiative that's now been rolled out and being backed by the commission. So I would like just to say thanks for the input that you've had. It's going to be huge for the sector moving forward over the next 10, 15, 20 years, right? So I think slightly different sort of question, but same topic really. In terms of challenges, I imagine you've faced a number since the early Toyota days and even now. Is there any specific challenges that you have faced, and how have you overcome those challenges?
Of course, there was a lot of challenges. When I started 20 years ago, nobody was talking about hydrogen. I felt very lonely in the desert, shouting around.
Yeah.
But I always said, look, Rome is not built in a day. You need to take it one by one, And the most important is to go out, to talk to people, and to understand their concerns or their questions, and really take them to your heart and try to give them an answer. Of course, you cannot convince all the people in the world, but if you come up with good answers and solid based answers, a lot of people are willing to change their mind and to come along. Because all my life was, it's not possible. It's not possible. You don't want to know how many times I heard people say it's not possible, or it's not right timing, or it's too early. It is. This is the story of my life always. It was always difficult, but you keep pushing, and I always say it's like, there's a wall in front of you, and there are many ways to go around. You can go under the wall, you can climb up the wall, you can go through the wall, you can go on the side of the wall. So there are many ways, and you need to explore all those ways. It's about creativity. It's about finding the way to make it happen, but always with good arguments. Because just saying to the other person, you're wrong, and doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Of course.
And you need to give arguments, and also be prepared to be open, also to change your own opinion. And I think this is the strength of a person, because nobody is in certain way right or wrong. So you need to always work together as a team, try to understand the others, try to take eventually the others with you on your journey. But never try to say that the others are wrong.
No.
Without giving arguments. I think this is, for me, it was always, and you saw them coming along. One by one, you saw people coming into the hydrogen world.
Yeah.
Really.
And climbing the wall with you.
it was one by one, by one. and you need to be patient. Be patient. I think this is another big
Yeah.
um, but of course now I mean now the time is very different, of course. Now I think people are convinced that hydrogen will play a big role in the society. I mean, in the energy mix. I mean, some people say 15%, some people say 25%. Okay, whatever it will be a significant amount of percentage in the energy mix. And now we end up in a very new challenge. I mean, the new challenge is now, how do you finance all these things? How do you make the hydrogen economy a viable economy? Where do you find all the people, the skilled people to work in that? I mean, how do you convince people that are working now in the fossil fuel industry that renewables are the next thing to do? So, and we enter in a new, I would say, area, and where we need to, I mean, start talking differently, and where the numbers
Absolutely.
needs to add up. And that's the beauty. Now we start talking about the numbers, where I would say the past decade, it was about convincing people that hygiene has a role to play.
Yeah.
Now I think everybody is there. Not everybody, but I mean, okay, let's say there are, I mean, it's okay. I mean, most of the people are there. Now it's about proving. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that's still a challenge. There's
I,
still a
I
challenge.
agree. I feel like we've gone from the why to the how, and we're sort of tipping into the when, which now obviously with your project, you're moving into that, right? Which is absolutely amazing. Moving on to the next question I have. Sort of taking you back to the Toyota days when you might have been sort of strapping up the boots and tinkering with the mirror. What if you could think retrospectively? What three key pieces of advice would you give to a younger Bart starting out your career?
First of all, select a topic which is close to your heart. That's important. I mean, do something that when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, that you start smiling and you're looking forward to do it, that you're passionate about it,
Yeah.
because you have to work for a long time in your life. And so it's better to do something that you're really passionate about it than just doing something because you need to do something. Seriously. So this is really, try to look for, so once you, I mean, found the thing that you're passionate about, think about how it can help also society, because this will give you a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And everybody needs a purpose in life, because you will feel that you belong to something which is bigger than yourself. And that gives you then, in bad times or in difficult times, always the motivation to still make that extra mile. So super important. And thirdly, I mean, be open. Be open for other opinions. Be also consequent and study hard, because there's a lot of things to study. And so do not be distracted from other stuff. So once you have decided in a certain way, stay on that path.
Yeah.
Because if you start floating around, you may not be, I say, so successful anymore, because then you know from many things something, but nothing really seriously. And if you really want to change things in life, or you really need to be a specialist. So
Yeah.
once you decide a certain direction, stick with it,
Yeah.
and make sure that you are the expert on this, and then people will listen to you. That
Absolutely.
would be my advice.
And I think it's great advice, and it rolls into the last question that we have as well. We were speaking before we kicked off the call that there's so many projects, right? We've got your project, and I know you mentioned there's only 3% that have gone to FID, but we are going to have to lean on the LNG sector, the oil and gas sector, the aerospace, the automotive sector for refueling, and we do need people to transition across. So what advice would you have for those people that might be in a different industry and they're looking to enter the transition or energy transition sector, or the hydrogen sector specifically?
First of all, don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace change,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are afraid to change because they are in the comfort zone and going to something new. Of course, there are a lot of people who like challenges and new things, but we need a lot of people. So it means also the people who today feels very comfortable in their zone.
Yeah.
And so embrace change, because change always brings something new in your life, and bring something positive and joy in your life. So
Yeah.
embrace it. Don't stick where you are. Don't try to extend, because again, think about the higher purpose of your life. If you really want to make a change in your life, and we really want to change somehow, or be a contributor in changing the world and reaching the climate change, this is a wonderful opportunity for you, and to do something beautiful
Yeah.
for your children and the grandchildren. So I think embrace change and go for it. Don't hesitate. A beautiful future is waiting you.
Absolutely, and I completely agree. And I think all the topics and points that you've touched upon during the chat have been absolutely amazing. Obviously, we wish you all the best with the project, and I'm interested to see what happens over the next 5 years when we jump back on in 2-3 years time and see what's developed since, because you've had an amazing few years, Bart, and thanks for everything that you do for the sector as well. It's absolutely amazing, and wish you all the best of it as well.
Thank you very much, George, for having me in. And anytime, welcome.
Thanks, Bart.